here's Brody Brazil.
So here on my sports-based YouTube channel, it should come as no surprise that I'll be making this video to talk about a potential trade. But this transaction is unlike any other that I've discussed before. It has nothing to do with two or multiple players. It doesn't even have to do with two teams making a deal. This would be a trade between Major League Baseball and the city of Oakland. And to be fair, I'm not the first one to bring this up. I'm definitely not the only one to bring this up. In fact, the San Francisco Chronicle recently talked to the mayor's office about this very thing. You can check that out for yourself. This all needs a proper setup. Before we get to the trade itself, here's the situation if the A's are approved relocation to Las Vegas by Major League Baseball. No matter what, they'll definitely be playing next season at the Coliseum. So 2024 is already spoken for. But 2025, 26, and 27, those are huge question marks right now. And that is all if everything goes to plan in Las Vegas, that a stadium would actually be done and ready for the 2028 Major League season. You see those 3 gap years in question. That's a lot of baseball. 162 times 3. Actually, 81 times 3, if we're just speaking about home games. That's 240 plus baseball games we don't know about. So here's the trade proposal. Major League Baseball gets the A's use of the Oakland Coliseum for all 3 of those years, maybe even beyond, until Las Vegas would be ready. The A's get to sign a new lease. They get to extend their current lease. However you want to draw it up, the A's would get to continue using the Coliseum. In return, Oakland, from Major League Baseball, would get guaranteed expansion rights for a franchise starting 2028 or later. Let that sink in for just a second. I mean, the A's really need a home, and Oakland really needs a baseball team. This is deep. It would satisfy a lot of things. It would be different. There are some changes and elements to discuss. So why don't we do that right now? First things first, baseball is bound to expand. I know some of you are saying, well, Oakland would force Major League Baseball to add more teams. No, baseball's already going to do this. Commissioner Rob Manfred has been saying now for months, if not years, that 15 teams in each league is not exactly how he wants it. 16 and 16 gets you to 32 across Major League Baseball. Those are nice, even numbers. But none of that can happen until the A's and Rays situations are resolved. Well, if the A's are approved to relocate to Las Vegas, there you go. And if the Rays are not far behind and they're figuring things out, either St. Pete or Tampa, or as some people will say, Orlando is beckoning. We all know about that. But in this situation, hypothetically, if Nashville is the East Coast expansion team, and there's been a lot of talk and speculation about that, you're looking for a West Coast equivalent. And since Las Vegas might have been in line for that, and if the A's are relocating there, why wouldn't Oakland be a top location as the West Coast expansion team? Why would they be? I'll also spell that out later here in the video. There's a lot of momentum for why baseball could look at Oakland all over again here. If they weren't already, this trade would secure Oakland its new and next baseball team. Let's be honest about the A's. They don't have a lot of great options for 2025, 26, and 27 if it's not the Coliseum. Summerlin, Nevada, home of the Aviators, Sacramento, home of the River Cats, and Reno's minor league baseball stadium, they all come with issues. Capacity, the amount of clubhouses, the playing surface. In Las Vegas, or Summerlin to be more specific, the temperature. You can't play day games outside all summer long. The Major League Baseball Players Association, for 3 full seasons, they're going to have a say in this, I guarantee. They're really not going to like a Major League Baseball team being housed at a minor league ballpark for multiple years under these circumstances. So in my opinion, as much as it was ever talked about and speculated, I think Summerlin, Sacramento, and Reno might be a possibility to some small degree, but the reality is they are not at the forefront at this point. And so that brings a lot of talk in the last couple weeks about Oracle Park. And would the Giants cooperate with the A's to house them for 3 seasons or even partial seasons? I mean, then it gets messy. Some games in San Francisco, some games in Oakland. How do you do ticket prices? How much would the Giants want of concession shares, parking shares, ticket shares, merchandise sales? I mean, there is so much to happen here and figure out. The Giants love their stadium. It's custom built for them. It doesn't have 3 clubhouses. The playing surface is not meant for 162 home games a year. It's a lot of cooperation that would be required by the Giants. And as much as they might want to facilitate the A's request and facilitate the A's move out of Northern California, it comes at a certain inconvenience. Remember, they run other events and operations at this ballpark, and I really don't know if they're looking to take on a roommate these days. Even for the revenue that comes with it, there's a huge trade-off there. Not saying it's impossible. I am saying it's what baseball might want the most, because obviously it is a major league facility, but I'm not sure if the Giants really want to spoil what's special over at 3rd and King. And the other part about the A's and their lack of options, this is not a 3-week or a 3-month stay. We're calling this their temporary home, like where they play for 2025, 26, and 27. 3 years is not very temporary. How many players even sign 3-year contracts with the A's? There could be a player that signs a deal in 2025 for 2 years, 25 and 26, never plays in Oakland or Las Vegas if the A's are somewhere else. So in terms of the A's side of things, that's why you've seen it mentioned. They would be interested in renewing another lease at the Coliseum. Honestly, that has to be their primary desire right now, because there's not a lot of other choices. I mean, you could even spell out the notion that maybe they'll share Angel Stadium. Why not share Dodger Stadium or Petco Park? Just go up and down the West Coast. Pick any other West Coast Major League ballpark, and why does it have to be Oracle Park? It really doesn't matter where they play, but I don't know if any one of those other teams are super interested in that opportunity. I think fans here in the Bay Area, A's fans that used to be into the A's that have now kind of regressed away from the team, I mean, the last few years have divided and frustrated the A's fan base. And forget the last few years, how about the last couple months? Talks of relocation, all the frustrations of that, seeing your favorite team and players and history and memories be ripped away or in the process of being ripped away. And so I think everything fans associate with the A's and the last couple months and the way things have gone, I think there are so many baseball fans in the East Bay that would just welcome a fresh start and a clean slate and a second chance to maybe build something from scratch. Granted, I think there might be split opinions on that. I haven't really polled the fan base on that. Maybe I should have done that before making this video. I guess I'm adding my perspective in here. How I would feel is that all things considered, this would not be a bad outcome. If this is the way it shakes out, a guaranteed expansion team in Oakland, and oh, by the way, we haven't even gotten to the Howard Terminal part of this yet. There's also the A's name and colors and logo and stomper, I guess, too. The A's name will be part of this and be debated. Should it continue on to Las Vegas? And to be honest, it started in Philadelphia, then went to Kansas City, then the colors changed, and then they became the Oakland A's. So the name has been around before. I understand the name and the colors and the logo. That'll all be debated. But I'm also here to tell you that in the biggest picture of all, that's not the biggest issue. Keeping baseball alive and giving it a new home in Oakland, that is. And this trade would definitely accomplish that. So in my opinion, for my guesstimate, baseball fans in and around Oakland and the East Bay, they would welcome something new that would be an expansion team. Oakland doesn't really owe the A's, do they? In terms of, hey, just come here and stay at the Coliseum. I can't figure out a scenario in why Oakland would have to give the A's a brand new lease at the Coliseum. And I do understand it would be good business. Why would you turn down jobs and revenue and keeping the operation at the Coliseum site going for another 3 years? It's out there. The A's will want to do it. Why would you turn down that opportunity? Well, because maybe the city of Oakland, the county of Alameda, the Joint Powers Authority, maybe they want to move on with the site and produce something else there. And you can't do that so long as the A's are playing home games at the Coliseum. But going back to the A's side of it, by the way, this is also a complication. They own, or they are on their way to owning, because they're paying it off, owning 50% of the Coliseum site. Now, this is back from March of 2018. A's president Dave Kaval, he penned a letter to then Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. The A's wanted to buy the city and county's halves of the Coliseum site. They eventually got the county's half. They did not get the city's half. But Dave wrote this letter saying that the A's wanted to buy the Coliseum site to, quote, solidify control of the one site in Oakland that offers an assured path for the development of a new privately financed baseball venue, the existing Coliseum complex. They bought into this to use it as like their backup option. The assured path, the second choice, the fail-safe, if you will. And they chose Las Vegas instead anyway, ahead of even trying to finish off Howard Terminal. Nobody ever really fully said no to Howard Terminal. They just got tired and bored of it. They moved on. My point is, going back to this, the A's didn't want the Coliseum site. They had every option to say, well, we're pivoting off Howard Terminal. Let's pivot to the Coliseum site. They didn't do that. So in my opinion, I don't see how Oakland owes the A's like the opportunity to stay there. I see why they might, because why would you turn down business? But on the other hand, why would you turn down the opportunity to start what's next at this site, to really move on? With AASEG, the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, everybody's got plans to revitalize this site, to do something else there. And again, keeping the A's around for 3 more years, or maybe more, that delays anything else you were going to do there. Doing this trade-off could also avoid a huge rent increase for the A's at this site. Now, I said before, maybe the Joint Powers Authority, the city and the county, maybe they would go to the A's and say, well, we will keep you here, but instead of the $1.25 million you're paying for 2024, the price is going to go up in 25, 26, and 27. What if it's $20 million for 25, $20 million for 26, and $30 million for 27? I'm just making all of this up, by the way. But if you know somebody needs a place and you've got that place and you can name your own cost, why wouldn't that happen? But this trade, this transaction would avoid that. This would be a partnership. Again, the A's own 50%. I said they are on their way to owning it. They still owe $45 million. And oh yeah, by the way, the second the A's are officially approved, from my understanding, to relocate, the clock is ticking, because then they will instantly owe $45 million, or within a certain time period, $45 million to pay off the rest of what they purchased the Coliseum land for. I believe that was $85 million. So they still have more than half of their payments to make on the Coliseum, and instead of doing it in 15 installments, they would owe the rest of it instantly. That's kind of a side story here. But an agreement with MLB between Oakland and baseball would then kind of allow some flexibility. All right, hey, cut these guys a deal. Let them stay here for 3 years. Let them have the low rent that they've been used to. They own half the land. It's a partnership on the A's way out to Las Vegas. And obviously, Oakland would get what they want out of this, a future baseball team. There's also this for Oakland. they already have a $540 million head start because those state and federal grants that Oakland went out and secured for the A's, for offsite infrastructure, those are already taking place. Those are already taken care of. Alameda County is also on board to contribute to the on-site infrastructure. So now we're talking about almost $1 billion of contributions for infrastructure alone for this site. So, by the way, this money, it doesn't disappear if none of this happens. It's going to be used around Howard Terminal to upgrade the infrastructure, ballpark or not. But all of this makes use of the effort of the last couple years, of the A's and Alameda County and Oakland and BCDC and the Port of Oakland. It's kind of like the A's did all the groundwork, literally the groundwork, for the Howard Terminal site, and whatever opportunity and ownership group comes in next, I mean, this has been paved out for Oakland to the tune of $540 million to start and a lot more to go along with it. But there's also this. Leaders in Oakland need to act. And what I mean by that is, this is a two-way street. This is a two-way promise. If baseball agrees to giving Oakland an expansion team, Oakland has to be absolutely turnkey as it relates to Howard Terminal and the approval process. And like the timing works out well here. You host the A's for a couple years. During that time, you find your new ownership group, you secure the site. It's kind of the lead in and the ramp up to actually building a new stadium and playing baseball. And even if there was a year or two gap, like the new team didn't get to play their first game even until 2030, that's fine. But you know it's coming. It just has to be assured. On the city side, on the county side, on all the approval side, you obviously need this time in between to figure out your ownership group. You also need Howard Terminal, no questions asked, no issues popping up. You can't have city council members causing a problem, causing referendum votes. Like, this has to be everybody on the same page. And quite honestly, with Oakland before, there have been issues with this. And I agree, not everybody's going to, maybe I shouldn't say everybody has to agree, but it has to be known that this is all going to be taken care of. And that everybody can find a way to make this happen. City of Oakland can't ask for this and then not deliver this, right? So there has to be some responsibility in that regard. And by the way, if you think I'm crazy for suggesting all of this, let me take you back to 1969 and the Kansas City Athletics, who right before that relocated to Oakland to become the Oakland Athletics. So what did Major League Baseball do in Kansas City? They said, Charlie O'Finley took your team away and maybe you didn't deserve that. Maybe we still believe in this market. So here's a brand new team. Call them whatever you want. And the Royals are born. So not only has this happened before, this has specifically happened before with the Athletics franchise. So there's my trade. Baseball, Oakland, let the A's stay, give Oakland an expansion team. Guarantee that. Thumbs up on this video. That was a heavy one because you made it here to the end. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.